Hey, it's Armin with Attract. At Attract Advisors, we offer accounting advisory, tax advisory, as well as financial management services. We're lucky enough to work with very many hardworking, talented entrepreneurs across many different industries. Many of these individuals are world-class in their sphere and have great stories to tell. This is our way of highlighting their accomplishments and their insights, and we hope you enjoy these conversations.
Everybody, welcome back to our next episode of Kickin Assets. Today, I'm joined by my dear friend and client, Philip Ruiz, who is co-owner of Assured Flooring Countertops right here in Baton Rouge. Philip, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, John, I'm very excited to be here with you today. Yeah.
And so Philip was actually one of Attract's first clients. And, we've actually grown a lot together. There are some things that Attract does well now that we didn't necessarily do in the beginning. And a lot of it was just through working through things with you. And, but before we get into you and the company and being a leader and all those things, I'm really curious to dive into Philip Ruiz, the individual. And let's start at the beginning, kind of as a child. Like, what was life like for you as a child?
Man, it's so funny you're bringing this up because I've got an 11-year-old daughter and an 8-year-old boy, and my daughter is just constantly asking me questions about everything, and so is my son. But Tuesday night, I think we just went for it on some childhood questions, and she's super committed to AAU basketball, and she's very driven, so she's always got an activity to do. She's great with school, and she was asking me about my childhood in sports. So yeah, I grew up in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Went to Our Lady of Mercy, and just had very, very supportive parents. I'm the youngest of 4 siblings. One of the things I was telling her that my parents did a really good job of, at an early age was, just being like so supportive of whatever I had going on, showing up to all the games, practices. My dad coached a lot of the teams I was on. And then my mom was like a great nurturer. So grew up in Baton Rouge, went to Our Lady of Mercy, and had a pretty typical childhood. Youngest of 4, so my opinion didn't really matter much when it came to the siblings at the house, but they loved me well, and I was able to do what kind of I should do as the youngest of 4, which is learn from them, whether it was good things to do, bad things I shouldn't do. And I felt, it was a really, really solid childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so looking at where you're at today, as a business owner, I know from our previous conversations that this wasn't your first time owning a business, that you had a few businesses from the time you got out of high school, to here.
Yeah.
And so kind of walk us through like some of those lessons that you learned through the years that kind of made you a good leader and business owner at this point.
Yeah. So it's funny, started off like typical career, like for somebody young back whenever I was coming up in Baton Rouge, like I was like a light card. And then I actually had my first job at Raising Cane's. And I always like to reference them because they have such a good system over there, from culture to processes to training to the overall client experience. And so went through Cane's, started as a crew member, became a shift manager when I turned 18, and that ship kind of sailed. And around that time, I was in college, and I said, you know what, I want to go ahead and open my own lawn business, which I feel like we all do at some point living here.
For sure.
Because the grass stays growing. And so I did that, and my brother actually helped me kind of start that up from like the financial side of things. And that went well. I did that for about 4 or 5 years, got a few accounts, ended up selling those accounts. And believe it or not, I went back into the restaurant industry. I've always been attracted to like servicing a client in some sense, or providing something that they're satisfied with. So went back into the restaurant industry and helped open some restaurants. I had done that with Cane's, and then I did that with this new restaurant that I was a part of. And then shortly after that, I connected with Jesse and Assured Flooring.
And so kind of walk me through that at Assured, because like you were, a co-owner at this point, but it didn't start off that way. And, from what I know about Assured, you guys have just had consistent growth year over year, but maybe talk about getting into Assured. Like, what did your first couple years look like, and how did that progress into where you're at now?
Yeah. So, man, I think this can be so valuable for anybody out there listening that's starting with that gets hired onto a company that's young, or which in Assured's case is 10 years old, but going through a transition and being getting hired on by somebody like a Jesse, who is just like to be frank, he's a super spiritually fit guy. He's a great guy. Um, so with Jesse, I got brought on in sales, and during that time, there was a transition going on between his old business partner and a new business partner coming in. And so when I came on, it was right in the middle of that transition, and we weren't doing well, like at all. Like we hold on, I always tell him this. We were doing very well because we were still open, but from a business perspective and how a business should run, we weren't doing great. There was a lot of things that we were uneducated on, and that we were just kind of, like any business owner over the first year to 10 years, really just trying to figure it out and stay in business. So when I came on, I started off in sales, and was very excited and appreciative of the opportunity to work with a smaller company where I felt like I could make an impact. And Jesse created the space for me to do that. So my role was to do my job, learn everything I could about my job, and then show somebody like Jesse, like, hey, however committed you're going to be, I'm going to be just as committed. And I think he saw that early on. Like, if you're going to work till 8 o'clock, I'm going to work till 8 o'clock. Man, I think I got hired on at Assured for $450 a week. This is 10 years ago. But for me, it wasn't what I was making, in that moment. It was like, what could this be? And so a big timing thing, because I came in at the right time. We weren't doing great as a business, but we were, still in business. And I immediately, made everything that I could out of it. I said, look, I'm going to make sure he knows that he's got someone that's going to walk shoulder to shoulder with him, and that is going to be just as committed to bringing this business to wherever we want it to be. I was blessed to land a few accounts that were super important early on. I got buy-in from Jesse on what it was going to take to land those accounts, from like stocking purposes, perspectives, and pricing, price points that we needed to be at. And he believed in what I saw we could turn our sales department into. And he said, look, go for it. Like, I'm going to do the operations, you do the sales, and we're going to figure this out. So you fast forward a couple of years, and we had a pretty good thing going on. I think when I came on, we were doing about 1.5. And if you fast forward a couple of years, we were around $5 million. And, we had really just like grown this crazy bond. And so I felt comfortable. I went up to him and I said, look, like, I love doing this with you. And I know what this can be, and I want to keep pushing it to that level, or getting to that place. What does it look like if we were to do this together? Like, is there any space for me to like get in there somehow? And Jesse, being the kind of guy that he is, was like, we're going to figure out a way to do that. Like, we're going to make space for you to do that. So at the time, he and our third business partner were basically equal owners. And so they formulated like a map for me. Right. And I would encourage business owners to do this too. If you've got somebody that's just as committed or more committed than you are to what you're trying to accomplish, like, make space for them to be successful. And they did that for me. They created like a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year path for me to essentially be equal owners with them. And so I had my job, which was, I'm going to do these things. So they had their job, create space for me, give me a pad to run down. And as of 2023, we're all equal owners. Yeah. Yeah.
And what strikes me about that progression is that you were doing the job before you got the title.
Yes.
Like, you were in the trenches, you were there on the late nights. And I think that's so important for anybody who's working in an organization, that from the owner's perspective, you have to show that you get it, want it, have the capacity to do it, to steal some EOS terms. And, when people talk about partnerships in general. Like if a client says, do you think I should bring on this person? And I say, well, are they putting in as much effort as you? Because you don't want to just give them a trophy because they've kept progressing in your company.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you are a partner with them. Like that partnership is like as important as your marriage almost. And so for you to really prove for how many years before you became partner?
4.
So 4 years of just grinding without ever asking for anything.
Yeah.
Right? What was your mindset kind of going through there? Have you always just kind of been I'm going to do the very best I can at all times?
Yeah, being the youngest of 4 will kind of mold you to do that, right? I've always had at times an unhealthy, and once I've learned to like figure it out, healthy desire to be the best that I can be. I think in the past it was to prove myself, right, to others, and today it's more of prove myself to myself and add value just to who I am. But yeah, I think that a bit of that's just natural, naturally how I came up was, I need to grind. If I want something, I've got to earn things, because I was the youngest of 4. But yeah, no, man, I was excited. Like, I was very attracted to who Jesse was as a person and what the industry could be. I knew nothing about flooring and countertops. It really wasn't about that. It was more about like being with the team and being a part of a team and playing an impact, being impactful in that team. But knowing that I had a shot to do something that could benefit not only a client but the team around us and my family, of course. It was like, hey, whatever it takes, that's what I'm going to do. It just so happens that we also formed a very, very strong bond early on to where it made it that much easier. Right.
And I look at Jesse and his like amazing skills as a leader and a partner and, just a grinder. And I can see how you guys are just like peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah. Yeah, we are.
And it's
so good.
It's so interesting that, for him to have an employee then become an equal and how that dynamic changed. But doesn't that speak to his consistency as a person?
He's the best. Jesse is a helper. He's genuinely fulfilled by seeing someone else be successful. Like, and if he can be a part of that, like, he's good. I think that's all he needs. Everything else is gonna, work itself out. He is an amazing person. Yeah. It was like, what do they call it? Like lightning struck at the right time.
Yeah.
Like from everything, from where he was at in his life, which was a bit defeated and willing to do anything to turn the page to be more successful, and where I was at in my life, which was young and hungry and wanting to be a part of something that we could make great. And then even our age gap, and I'm not trying to, we have an inside joke with Jesse and I that he's like 70 and I'm like 25. I'm a kid, he's like a grandpa. But even our age gap, we're 12 years apart. So I think we had both gone through enough hardship and adversity in life where egos were just like not important. Humility and vulnerability was the better approach. And so like being 12 years apart really, I think, helped with that, because it wasn't like I'm going to be better or you're going to be better. It was really a mentor-mentee, and then it turned into a co-mentors type relationship that we just trusted each other's hearts, and like we knew we just both wanted to do great things for our families and for our team. And he taught me a lot about what that looked like, and so yeah, I mean, he's amazing.
And when we talk about culture, right, you guys set the tone at the top. And, we've talked about how much you guys trust each other and how well that you work together. But really focusing on you for a second, outside looking in, if there's one word that comes to mind when I think about you, it's consistency. And it's consistency not only in that you are the same person to your family, because we went on accidental vacation together.
Yeah, here we go.
And your vendors and your customers and your teammates. And it's just amazing how you were the same person day in and day out. I think ego has a lot to play with it, or has a lot to do with it, and your ability to check it. But is being so consistent a challenge for you, or is it something that was tough in the beginning and then just became a habit? And where do you find the strength to be so consistent?
Yeah. So the way you do anything is the way you do everything, right? I'm a big believer in that. And so I would say that yeah, like discipline, consistency, those are similar things, right? And it can be a challenge for sure. I think I lived, and we're not going to get into the weeds too much of like, let's say 18 to 26, 27. I think I failed enough times and hit enough brick walls and just adversity from, thank God at an early age
Mhm.
to where I had to kind of like, it got pretty bad for me from a like, how do I live life perspective,
Mhm.
that I had to surround myself with people that were doing things that were attracted to me, and then ask them like, what are you doing to live this way? Like, you seem to be, spiritually fit. You seem to have a great work-life balance. You're successful at home. You're successful at work. And like, what does that look like? Like, give me the playbook. And time again, it was like routines and
Mm.
like taking care of your body, taking care of your health, selfishly taking care of yourself first to where then you can take care of everyone else, after that. And so, it comes fairly easy because it works to me now and I've done it for so long. And I think like I'm a creature of like habit, and that, in general we are as people, but like, definitely find yourselves, doing the right habits,
Mm.
and then it can turn into something great. But everything that I do, and like anything that like I always like anything like I attest all of my success or whatever that is, and all of my like happiness towards the people around me and the people that have like shown me what they did to do that, and
Mhm.
and given me the playbook, and to my family how they are. And I'm not doing this right. You're gonna cut that. Yeah, like
No, you're good.
yeah, yeah.
And I'm gonna tell them to be quiet real quick, and I'm also gonna cut the air down a bit. I'll be right.
Okay, let's make it an icebox, baby. Let's do this.
Hey, that's so fun. I think tell them to be quiet too, or shut the door.
Hmm. That's crazy to me that you can do this in the middle of this thing and then like get it to flow or whatever.
Oh yeah, they're gonna get it.
Yeah, yeah.
So where were we? Let's pick back up kind of on, like, you talked a little bit about the tougher parts of your life, but how you really leaned on mentors and people were kind of teaching you about your strengths. Like you adopted their strengths and their habits.
That's right. That's right. It's like, hey, I see the way that you're living. I see that it looks like a similar way that I'd like to live. You seem like, to be frank, you live like you're living a very healthy, spiritually fit life, and I'd like to know how you're doing that. So whether that's through men's groups or lunch meetings or phone calls, really accountability partners at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I'm able to kind of stay the course with those
Mhm.
things.
And so really taking you guys as leaders, your strengths as, one of the owners. One thing that's always impressed me is the culture at Assured Flooring Countertops. And, I look at you and Jesse as kind of, the operators leading from the front. And I'm reminded of something Nick Saban said about, mediocre people don't like hanging out with high achievers, and high achievers don't like hanging out with mediocre people. And I feel like Assured is full of high achievers. How did you guys get from, in your words, a place where business wasn't that great in order to righting the ship now to where, we're 5 times where we were, of just a few years ago?
Yeah. So another thing that I like, it's something that sticks with me is a saying. It's like, why ever tell someone something you can show them?
Yeah.
Right. And man, is Jesse not the epitome of that? And have I not become hopefully the epitome of that? So like, I think our team just sees us,
Hmm.
and like, whether it's, you know, in the shop, lifting slabs or sweating, or, in a client's home, or, with the books and whatever it is that we could be doing, we give it, we give it our all. And we make sure that every single employee that we have at whatever stage you are in the company, has our number. and they know they can call on us and that we're available. You know, we check in with them. We ask them how they're doing. We hold the evals. We go the extra mile to remember their birthday or whatever that is. You know, we do those things. And I think because of that, you know, and then we try to do outside of work activities. You know, that's the real thing these days, right? Everybody does that, but we try to also get out the office and have team building events and all that kind of stuff. And I think through doing that, our team really knows who we are and what our hearts are, and they know that we're flawed. They know that we're willing to be vulnerable.
Yes.
Human. That at times we're doing our best even when it's not working, and they appreciate that. You know, they can relate to that. So doing our best to, like, you know, not only show our commitment through what we do, but make sure our employees know who we are. We are not perfect,
Right.
but the door is always open to have a coffee or have a lunch and get on the same page, and that we're going to make mistakes, but we don't want to, and we don't mean to. And no voice is unheard. Like, yeah.
And I think, like, you know, you guys you said it, being vulnerable, being real people, you know, admitting your flaws. Those are all things that you want your team to do.
Yeah.
And yet you embody that, you show them, right? And, you know, just a shameless plug, you guys have an amazing Christmas party every year. And I'm like so excited to go every single year, rent out Uncle Earl's. Man, it's a lot of fun.
And you do come every year.
I do.
And I love that. Love you for that.
I'll even show up by myself.
Office. Yeah, we need to get everybody coming. Yeah.
We'll see if it's in the budget.
Right. It's funny.
No, man. And so we've talked about, you know, your partnership. We've talked about your team. You know, let's talk a little bit about your customers, but more so, what is it that Assured Flooring Countertops does?
Yeah, so we're kind of a hybrid, right? We like to consider ourselves the ultimate solution for all of your flooring and countertop needs. We almost have three businesses within a business, though. We have what we refer to as our production department, which is all ran out of our warehouse, which is a production office and a production operation that handles larger volume home builders, right? And we offer them a turnkey service. So we are going to provide the material, we're going to stock the material, and provide the installation and material for your project. We pride ourselves on our production side with our availability of product, our quality of work, and the speed at which we can turn over the install. That does a lot for them, saving days on the schedule. You know, they run a tight ship. And so that's one section of our business. Then we have the custom department. And what that is for us is whether it's, you know, John's dad that's coming in and he wants to redo his kitchen countertops, or a designer, or a family friend that's looking to have a remodel done. We don't do the entire remodel. We stick to the floors and countertops. Or a designer, an architect, a real estate agent that's got a client that needs help. And then all the way up to a, $1 million+ custom home builder. So we have production, which is larger volume builders, and then we have our custom clients, which is pretty much everything else, right? Everyone from a homeowner that wants a new kitchen countertop to a high-end custom home builder. Within those two businesses, we have a shop. And that shop is what we call our countertop department, because that's a monster all on its own, right? With the different equipment that we have, the personnel that we have, the programming that we do, the CNC operating that we do, the fabrication with the polishing and the custom designs that we do. And so production and custom departments, and within that there's a countertop department. But our goal, and we feel like we can best serve you, is when we're offering you the complete package, which is the labor and the material to do your project.
And how about footprint? Like, how are you guys geographically? I mean, we've got shops in Baton Rouge. We've got, you know, something cool on the way.
Yeah, we do.
Let's talk a little bit about, like, how far out do you guys go, and where do you want to be?
So we like to say that our comfortable radius is about 150 miles out from Baton Rouge, right? So we have projects going on in Lake Charles, which is just a bit outside of that, Mandeville, of course, Greater Baton Rouge, Central, Prairieville, Gonzales, at times New Orleans. But our comfortable radius as of today is about 150 miles.
And so as far as, like, the recent progress, right? I mean, you guys are just doing some amazing things, both, from a facilities perspective and just an overall growth perspective. Can you talk a little about like what's happening in the near future and then maybe what's going to happen in the 3 to 5 or more year range?
Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty ambitious.
Yeah.
But I'd be happy to share it. So we of course we purchased a property on Airline where we are gonna house our new showroom, right? So we're super excited about that. That should open between September, October, into the third quarter, beginning of fourth quarter of this year, which we feel is going to give our clients our custom division, right, our custom department, just an overall better customer experience. A little bit more spacious, better design center setup, more offerings, conference room, private offices, shared conference room for contractors and designers alike. So we feel like we're going to be, and then on top of that, we're going to be kind of right in the hub of our industry, right? You have a lot of lighting there, a lot of plumbing there, flooring there. So we feel like we're going to, geographically, we're going to be located a little bit more strategically than we are. And then what was the follow-up to that?
Well, and then what's after that, right?
Yeah.
Because, I know you guys are just always really on the cutting edge of bringing in new talent and potentially, do everything.
Yeah. So without going too hard, I will say that we definitely intend to increase our reach from a countertop perspective throughout all of Louisiana and then along the Gulf Coast. From a talent perspective, we're getting more and more involved in these career expos and, whether it's Southeastern, ITI, LSU, we're getting more involved with how we recruit and who we're looking for. But we're kind of like, it's funny from a personnel perspective, we just want great people.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you're a great engineer. Like, how can I plug you in at Assured Flooring?
Yeah.
Like, you're great with software. How can I plug you in? Your mass comm, your marketing, like whatever that might look like we're really just trying to find great people that want to be a part of something special because we genuinely feel like we can turn this into a multi-state operation. We're not like driven by that necessarily. It's kind of like a long-term goal or vision that we have. Of course, you got to have something out there and then you go, year by year, month by month, you work your way towards that. But we don't want to put boundaries on what we can be. And I want to hit on this real quick because it's important. You mentioned EOS earlier. About 2 years ago, Jesse and I had a sit down with an implementer, right?
Yeah.
And they gave us the whole speech. And it's funny. We were like, okay, we have an option to stay right here where we're at because Jesse and I came up with a ton of love. We had everything we needed, but we didn't come up with much, right? And we feel very blessed and grateful that we're able to support our families the way that we are, and that we're able to live a very comfortable lifestyle the way we are. And so we kind of said, look, we can stay right here because this is crazy that we get to live this way today, or we can connect with our team, get a vote, and find out if everyone wants to take it to a different level. And if we do that, we can then create paths for them to pursue their dreams even further. And of course, we go to the team, we tell them, they're like, what are we doing? Let's go for all of it. Let's do it. So that driving factor for Jesse and I isn't like to, take over the world and look at Jesse and Philip. It's like, how can, if our goal is to create space and opportunity for our team, we're probably going to be successful in doing that because it's genuine.
Yeah.
You never run out of that kind of energy, right?
It's not self-serving.
It's not. Yes, like that gets boring. Can be very weighty. Right. But when I'm doing this for a team that's grinding every day and I'm showing up to give them more opportunity, I can do that all the time.
Yeah.
You never get tired of it.
And it's something that I think is really at its core why we're here on this earth, right? It's for others,
that's
right? And that's something, and that's always something that I've looked up to you in. And we've talked a little about your consistency between work and family and all those types of things. But I know that faith is really important to you. I look at you and Emily as just as an amazing partnership, as a couple. And could you maybe touch on how faith plays into your work life as well?
Yeah, it's everything. Because to your point, I think that's how we're supposed to be and we were made to be. But the reality is that we live in a no doom and gloom here, but we live in a pretty difficult society as far as it can be very easy to become driven by things that are not based on our faith or very spiritually fit.
Yeah.
And so it's everything for me. Without that, I can get caught in a lot of, like you said, what'd you call it?
Self-serving.
Yeah, self-servingness. I can be driven by money, by ego, by fear. And like that's exhausting. And that is not what I want to do. So, what I do is going back to it is to make sure I'm practicing that faith correctly. And that is, starting at home, right? Whether it's praying with our kids before they go to bed, praying at the dinner table, eating as a family, hitting my knees in the morning, whatever that meditation in the morning, whatever that can be. And then having guys around me for me that are doing those same things, it allows me to stay in that mindset, and do our best to live that Christ-like lifestyle, which can be very difficult in this society, but it's everything.
Yeah, I always said that I never knew it was cool to follow Christ until I met cool people who followed Christ.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, but it's so true.
Yeah.
But it's so true. So for me, it took a lot of failure to say like, hey, how are you doing that? Going back to that thing, right? And they were like, oh, this is the playbook right here. I'm like, I'm willing to do anything. Let's go for it. And then it starts to work and you start to feel different. And to your point, you start to meet, oh, wait, that guy's doing this too. And he's doing that. And it's a really cool season, I think, for men in general, because it's not weird to get vulnerable. It's not weird to be humble and not have to like raise your chest. And it's okay to say like, I don't want to take the wheel. I don't know what I'm doing anyway. Like let my whatever, Jesus or whoever, take that wheel along for the ride, and I'm going to be the best that I can be. But yeah, it's everything for me.
And so kind of as we start to package this thing up and land the plane, like I'm curious because you've obviously had some awesome life experiences. You've had some adversity. And a lot of people generally ask, like, what's the best advice you ever got? But I'm more interested in the worst advice you ever got. Like, what were some limiting beliefs that you might have had coming up that, through your journey, both as maybe a father, a husband, a business owner, someone who is just getting things done. Like, what has been like a glass shattering moment for you, if you could think of one?
Man, so I don't know if I can word this the right way, but I think what I can answer is this, and I think this was all, I don't know if this was advice or my own perception of how things could be, but it's like the great paradox, right? Like, if I become more selfless, I'll get everything I want when I was selfish.
Yeah.
It's very trippy, right? Like if I become more humble, I'll learn to be more confident.
Yes.
Like those things, right? So it's like that paradox of like, Philip used to think that this is what success looked like and I should be this way and this is what everybody's going to see. And learning that like and not getting anywhere with that, right? Like being like a miserable failure. And then realizing like, wait a second, if I do it the other way, that's when those wonderful things and that peace and that happiness and that joy, that's when those things follow. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
no, it's perfect because it's like what I interpret that as is, first of all, you can't force it, right? And if you keep doing the same thing and expect a different result, I mean, that's the definition of insanity. And so in my life, I really started to learn, I think the same thing that you've learned is, you can't really fight fire with fire.
Yeah.
Like you need to be more tactical, or you need to have other tools in the tool belt that, you're almost pushing to turn around and have it pulled in your direction, and so
that's right.
I feel like as I learn more about that, it really becomes like relationship based too, because being so self-centered and self-serving, you try to do everything yourself. And you strike me as someone who is great at relationships. I think, you've probably always been that way, but it served you well kind of coming through sales. And is that something that you've always leaned on others for, or was there like just humility along the way that every year you just got a little more humble and you got a little more accepting to say, I don't know everything and I do need help?
Yeah, yeah, no, it's funny. So it's this going back to that same thing. It's having lived through failure, made it through the other side of those failures. And trying to empower myself with the knowledge and the advice and the guidance on what living that healthy life looks like. So, yeah, and grabbing on anything that I can to help me with that. There's no like, oh, this is for me. It's like this is all I need. Like it's not a maintenance plan, right? So whether it's through church or accountability partners or
Podcast.
Bible studies, podcasts, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Reading,
Yeah.
but grabbing on to all of that, and just empowering myself with more knowledge about like how we're wired and what success looks like and really doing my best to be disciplined and do those things. Right.
And we're a product of who we hang out with and what we consume.
Yeah.
Right. And so I know you're big on audiobooks and podcasts and those things. And then you become more empowered as a leader to then impart that knowledge that you learned and just pass it along. And now they're like, oh,
Yeah. How
you
good
know,
is that, by the way?
Philip's a great leader, but
Yeah.
but really,
Here I am, like, no, I'm just telling you with somebody, like, I'm just literally like, no, it's so funny. I always get tripped out, even with some of the compliments you said today. I'm like, man, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a mess. No, but how cool is that being in the position that we're in? Like when you have someone on your team, it's almost like with your child.
Yeah.
Like it's like you have more children, and it's no whatever, but it's like for me my most rewarding moments is when I can teach my children either through my mistakes or my successes. Well, being in the position that we're in, we not only have that going on, but we also have a team around us, and if the team's built right and they're the right kind of people, they're like, tell me more. Like, I want to learn about these things. And then they start teaching you things.
Yeah.
Which is like, this is great. Now we're doing it together.
Yeah.
Right. You form more accountability partners. And so, no, really good stuff. Yes.
And so, we've talked a lot about operations and growth. We've touched a little bit on sales in the beginning, but if you look at an EOS chart, there's really three of those seats, and the other one is finance, accounting, and administration, those types of things. So can you kind of talk about that arm of your business just a little bit over the last couple years, like the progress that you've made there and maybe the comfort and going forward with the vision and everything being aligned on that front?
No, that's man, it's so crazy. So how do you say it without offending a different department? Man, the administrative / finance side of any business is everything, right? Like, of course, you need the sales to generate your revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you need the operation to execute the sales. But if you do not know what is going on in a dollar sense, in a cost sense, in a financial sense, like you will either fail or live in a rut forever. Right. Like it's so key. And so, Jesse and I, like any other business owner, we, started in, 2014, we grew the business to what it was until roughly 2022, 23. And then, as you know, John, we connected with you guys because we were missing that arm.
Mm-hmm.
Our financial acumen from a business sense had only got as far as it could.
Mm-hmm.
And we would do very well, but like a lot of business owners would say, like, where's the cash?
Yeah.
What the hell is going on? Like we know we're doing good, like we're getting good reviews, the business is growing. We're not like cash cow in the business. Like what's going on right now? And I got a lot of, once again, just because of our dynamic, I had got connected with you through a referral. And I'm super grateful I did. And I went to Jesse and I said, look, man, we're going to go talk to this company and they're going to like just do a colonoscopy of our finances. He was like, no, they're not. I said, yeah, they are. I said, we've got to figure out what the hell is going on. And so for that financial, like first, I've got a couple of people in that department that are they're just methodical in how they tackle things like compliance and benefits and HR and payables and receivables. Like they are just amazing. But that higher level stuff, we were missing the mark on. And so So connecting with you guys has been, I mean, we've learned things that I never thought I'd really know. We always wanted to know, everything from how to run a clean P&L to how your balance sheet should look, and what every single item on that should look like, and how to actually balance it, right? And then, you know, the big one, right, all the way down to that cash flow statement,
Yeah.
how that runs through operating activity, financing activity, and investing activity. It's been a wonderful thing, man, and you know how I feel about you, dude.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
We're close to, like, John, I don't know what we do at this point. You know, it can be extremely stressful for a business owner that does not have an accounting degree or does not know anything about true financials for a business and budgets and how to plan and how to forecast and how to tweak it in the middle of the year and modify it based on something you didn't expect to happen.
Yeah.
All just budgets anyway. And man, we're so grateful to you and Attract for all the knowledge and help and assistance y'all have given us to clean that up, man.
I
You know
appreciate that.
You know that.
Yeah, no, I do. And
got
it's easy for us to work together because, you know, you care to learn.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just like any other professional relationship, you know, you can only pour into one of your vendors so much until they start to reciprocate.
I'm glad you
right?
didn't fire me after like month one. I feel like, yeah, you know, you said something earlier, and it's funny. It's so cool how it played out because, you know, we're both dynamic people. We both are, you know, driven and all these things. And we started off on a really good note. But we had some, you know, we had some stuff like, you know, like it needs to be this way. Well, this is how you're supposed to do it. And a lot of back and forth. And looking back on that, man, that those first 6 months together, they were as difficult as they should have been.
Yeah.
Looks were terrible. And to see both of our growth through that and how we challenged each other to be better was just like, I don't know, man. I really enjoyed that season. And then I really love looking back on it because of what it is today.
Yeah.
And how great y'all been for us, man.
Yeah.
I really do.
I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
That's so good. And so kind of as we close, can you tell us how our listeners can learn more about you or the company and plug your socials and stuff?
Yeah, we have Jessica over there on the marketing side. You know, she's got the Facebook and the Instagram, the Assured Flooring and Countertops Facebook pages. We've got an amazing website that Sasso did.
Yeah.
Sasso Agency. I mean, they absolutely crushed our logo rebrand and our website build. Insanely happy with that. And then look for our signs. They're all throughout projects throughout town. You know, we've always, for a long time, we were driven by referral partners and word of mouth, and we still are. I mean, any business needs that, right? You're an awesome connector of people, but we got signs throughout town. I mean, yeah, you can hopefully see us everywhere.
For sure. You got the new logo.
Yeah.
You got the trucks wrapped. You've got the new showroom right in the middle of town. I'm really excited to see where you guys go from here. And I really appreciate you being so vulnerable, coming on the show and showing some support for Attract.
Yeah, I wouldn't have it any other way. Y'all are great. We love you guys.
Thank you. So thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, this is Philip Ruiz, co-owner of Assured Flooring Countertops right here in Baton Rouge. We'll see you next time on Kickin' Assets.